Hey Cupcake comic fans, this is Cupcake Taylor with a haul video. I just wanted to show off all the cool books and comics I got over the course of the month of August, and let you guys know about some of them. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Be happy to answer any of those. And please give the video a thumbs up if you like the content. Subscribe so you don't miss a single video, because we don't have a regularly programmed schedule, if you will. We just kind of pop in, and the Wu-Tang Clan of cupcakes just kind of pop in and post videos whenever they want. So yeah, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video. But I just wanted to run through these. And like I said, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. So this is the Bizarro Deluxe. I'm also in a new space now, so if the camera's rocking or anything, I apologize. I'm trying to figure things out here. But here's the Bizarro Comics Deluxe Edition. This is an awesome edition by DC Comics. And I love what they did here, where it's Bizarro, so the cover is actually flipped in reverse on the inside of the dust jacket. But this was a series done by a bunch of more independent, underground, even small press cartoonists, in doing their own take on superheroes. So it's a lot of lighthearted fun. A lot of, think of it like an independent punk band doing cover songs of mainstream artists or something like that. But just a lot of my favorite cartoonists are in here. You have Pete Bagg, Kyle Baker, Evan Dorkin. This is Tony Millionaire right here. Even Matt Groening from Simpsons fame does the cover. So it's fun to see a lot of those cartoonists that I like. There's even Challengers of the Unknown. Love Jack Kirby. This is written by Evan Dorkin. Evan Dorkin does a lot of the writing in here. And this is Evan Dorkin art. So a lot of my favorite cartoonists this is James Kochalka, do some art in here, and then also some artists that I'm not familiar with. And I love comics anthologies. Comics anthologies are so great. You come to the anthology because of one or two names, and you come out of it learning 3 or 4 new names of people you want to hunt down and track down their work, which is the fun of the comics hobby, right? So it was Bizarro Deluxe. This is Darkwing Duck. This is released from the best publisher in comics, Fantagraphics. And this is a collection it's a hardcover collection of the Disney Afternoon Adventures. Those were comics that were released in here in America, they were released in grocery stores and supermarkets in the checkout lane. You can get them, they're digest sized. And there were Disney Afternoon Adventures, and they'd have articles, comic books, and stuff in them. So this is the first collection, it seems like, of Fantagraphics. They haven't announced any other ones, but collecting those comics. So it does say Darkwing Duck on the cover, but it includes comics also from Gummy Bears, DuckTales, Chip and Dale, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop, and Bonkers. So don't get this just thinking you're going to get only Darkwing Duck comics, but it does have a lot of Darkwing Duck in it. The Gummy Bears one's a 4 or 5 page strip, and that's it. But also includes the entire movie adaptation of a Goofy movie, which is one of my favorite movies growing up. And it's almost like a 1-to-1 adaptation, but I just love that. So that's cool. And it has a huge crossover comic book series with a bunch of all the cartoons, and it ends with a Bonkers cartoon strip. So I love these growing up. I was only able to get 1 or 2 of those digests here or there. I wasn't able to get a bunch of them, so it's cool to revisit those. This is Fantastic Four Omnibus, Volume 2 by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. It's blasphemous. And in my opinion, this is the best Marvel Omnibus they've ever released, simply because of the content. And we'll go into this, but so this is the reprinted version. It has the 4 on the back. The cover looks the same. It's a dust jacket, or underneath it just says Fantastic Four. It does have the controversial small font on the spine. And I just want to be clear, I hate these spines, and I've been very vocal about it. I don't mind this picture. These images are cool. It's the tiny font that I hate. But anyways, so this particular volume, this is volume 2. And why is it the best? Because, well, 1, Jack Kirby's the greatest comic book artist ever. 2, the Lee Kirby Fantastic Four run is one of the greatest comic book runs ever. And 3, this has been beautifully remastered based on original artwork that they found from Jack Kirby. And 4, the stories in here are incredible and so important to the Marvel Universe that this is a must-read for any Marvel fan. And yes, again, it is a volume 2. However, the way Silver Age comics work, as long as you have a base knowledge of who the Fantastic Four are, you can buy this and jump into it. Look at these great collages by Jack Kirby. He's just a master. But the stories in here, so you get the debut of the Inhumans, you get the debut of Black Panther, you get the debut of Silver Surfer and Galactus, you get one of the greatest single-issue comic books Marvel's ever released, This Man, This Monster. Just Kirby, and you get all the letters pages, which is just amazing too. But Kirby and Lee were just on another level with this run. It's just such fun sci-fi space adventures, superheroes, heroism, just great character development, great stories, just incredible work. So, yeah, this is a must-have for any Marvel fan, I believe, this omnibus in particular. But that's Fantastic Four by Lee Kirby, Volume 2. Volume 3 and 4 come out, supposedly, they both come out next week. I'm still skeptical if that's going to happen because that seems weird to me. And then Volume 1's going to get a reprint too later. So these, I got some Boy Scout comics, which is weird. I am an Eagle Scout and a former Boy Scout. It was just a coincidence that I got both these at the same time. But this is Black Badge by one of my favorite comic writers, Matt Kindt, and Tyler Jenkins on art. Matt Kint's such a prolific comic book writer, but I do prefer when he does the artwork, just because I love his artwork. It's so stylized. But this Tyler Jenkins art's not really too far off Matt Kint's own style, so it makes me wonder if Matt Kindt did like the character designs maybe, or something. But the conceit here of Black Badge is that they're Boy Scouts, but they're in a secret spy organization. So it's like Boy Scouts meet the CIA or something. They go on these crazy spy adventures, which just sounds awesome to me. But this is released by Boom Studios. Mike Dawson's a Troop 142 graphic novel. Again, Boy Scout comics, but totally different than Black Badge. This is more of a Boy Scout comic book in earnest. Like, it's just a bunch of it's black and white art. Mike Dawson's a small press, independent cartoonist. And a bunch of just slice of life, fun adventures of coming of age comics, if you will, of boys growing up in Boy Scouts. And I love that he did the design of the cover to look like an old Boy Scout manual, because anybody that's in Boy Scouts, you instantly recognize this. It just looks just like one. And it's so cool that he did that. I love that those touch and production design. So this is Omega the Unknown, 1 through 10, by Jonathan Lethem and Farrell Dalrymple. So I just recently listened to the Untold Story of Marvel Comics audiobook, which is amazing, by the way. Check it out. And one thing that I'm really hooked on right now is 70s Marvel. And one of the things that came out of that was Steve Gerber's writing and his comics that I've been kind of exploring. One of the characters that he came up with was Omega the Unknown. And upon my research, I found out that Farrell Dalrymple did this run in the early 2000s. And this looks like, these don't look like Marvel comics to me. When I first saw these covers, again, I'm going to flip through them. When I first saw these covers on eBay, I was like, those aren't Marvel comics. Did Steve Gerber get the license to Omega the Unknown and they published this elsewhere? Because besides the Marvel logo, these do not look like Marvel comics. And these were just mainstream Marvel comics. But they were published by Marvel. But because Steve Gerber did have the lawsuit over Howard the Duck with Marvel, so I was wondering if he got the license or something. But no, those are Marvel comics, and they're Omega the Unknown by Farrell Dalrymple. You can just tell the art looks like nothing like you've seen from a Marvel comic. So I'm super stoked to dive into those. That's the whole 10-issue run right there I got for a good price. This is Timely's Greatest. This is a Golden Age comic. They're Golden Age era comics of Submariner from Bill Everett. So I have all 4 of these now, of these Timely's Greatest Golden Age Marvel comics they came out with. They came out with 2 for Submariner. One was the pre-war years, and the other one was post-war years. And they came out with a Simon and Kirby one for Jack Kirby and Joe Simon. And then they came out with Carl Burgos's Human Torch, sorry. And these are amazing. So I'm one thing I've been dabbling in over the last year is Golden Age comics. And I know people, when they hear Golden Age comics, they're like, ugh, those things are boring and droll, and just, I have no interest in reading those. They're slow, there's too much wording and dialogue. Let me tell you, not all Golden Age comics are created equal. So give it a shot. Don't just, turn off the idea of reading Golden Age comics forever. Same with Silver Age, especially. But these Golden Age reproductions, though, are incredible. The first one I got was the Simon Kirby one because I'm a huge Jack Kirby fan, and I'm trying to collect every Jack Kirby omnibus I can. And I'm just stunned by the reproduction of colors and stuff in here. The camera will not do these justice. You have to get one of these in your hands and really look at it, because it's just like literally breathtaking. I was just stunned looking at it. So then in the stock trades, my frequent place that I go to shop for comics, had the post-war years and the Human Torch one on sale, because these are expensive books. Because of the reproduction takes so much work, they do up the price on these compared to more other omnis that Marvel publishes. So the fact that they're on sale, I couldn't turn down the opportunity to get to them. But then I had to hunt down to this one because it went out of print, and I wanted this actual cover because this is the DM cover, and the standard cover looks totally different. I can't have that unmatching on my shelf, so I had to hunt this one down, and I finally got it. But these are such fun, just like underwater adventures. Submariner is just like a jerk, and he is an anti-hero, which is weird because you think of superheroes, especially Golden Age superheroes, you think they're all do-gooders, only do what is right and fight what is wrong. But Submariner is not black and white amongst those lines. He will do what he feels is right for the betterment of his people or his land, and they just make for fun adventures. But anyways, this is the Queen of the Ring. This is the Jaime Hernandez wrestling drawings book from Fantagraphics. And what this is just, it's basically a sketchbook. Jaime Hernandez is famous for the Love and Rockets. Him and Gilbert Hernandez do the Love and Rockets comics. And I love that they, like, I don't know if you can see that on camera, they even left like the marks from to make it look like a true, like, original art sketchbook. This was designed by Jacob Covey, I believe. Look at those end pages. Let me see the small print here. Yeah, Jacob Covey. He's my favorite book designer ever. He just does such cool things with book design. But this is just a sketchbook / interview with Jaime Hernandez about why he loves wrestling comics and why he just put women's wrestling so prominently displayed in his Love and Rockets comics. So you get a lot of this, and he's just doing like basically magazine art. If you've ever seen old wrestling magazines, these will look familiar to you. And he's just basically doing like mock-ups. Like, this is not a true wrestling magazine that he took this from. He just basically made his own wrestling cover and made it look like what he wants. And he's just messing around. And he's talking about in this interview how, like, these weren't meant to see the light of day, really. This was just what he does for fun. When he's like taking a break from Love and Rockets and he just wants to just sketch and draw things, this is what he does, literally, with the lettering and the stories. So he's telling you in the interviews, he's like, yeah, I was just kind of making stories with these characters that I was sketching. Like, never meant these to see the light of day, but like, she held the IWF title for close to a decade. Like, that's just something he just came up with off the spot and just wanted to continue. So it's interesting comics because there is a bunch of lettering and storytelling involved in the sketchbook, but also it's just a sketchbook, so it's really cool. It's really fascinating object. Usagi Yojimbo Saga Book 2. These are being reprinted by Dark Horse. So a lot of the hubbub around Usagi Yojimbo is over the hardcovers that are super limited edition. Listen, ignore that. Don't try to hunt those down if you don't want to pay an exorbitant amount of money. These are so affordable, and Usagi Yojimbo deserves to be read by every comic book reader. They're such great comics. And like this edition, you can see how thick this is. Includes almost 700 pages. It's only $29.99, and you can get it for like $20 on IST. And they are black and white adventures. He's a Ronin samurai rabbit. There are colored pages too, obviously, you can see. But the cartooning's great. Like, it looks like cartooniness, but there is violence involved. There are beheadings and great samurai swords fighting and stuff like that. But they're amazing stories. And the great thing about it too is Stan Sakai is such a master. storyteller that you could pretty much jump in at any story arc, at the beginning of any story arc of Usagi, and not be lost. So also, if you can't find like a volume 1 or something, don't fret, but just pick those up. They're the same trim size too. Like the hardcovers, the limited edition hardcovers are the same exact trim size. Literally, they're just a hardback with an autograph inside that makes them hundreds of dollars more expensive than those paperbacks. This is Scud, the Disposable Assassin, the whole shebang. So this was reprinted. I kept passing on this book when it was in print, and then it went out of print, went for crazy prices on the secondhand market, and as any comic book collector I'm sure has a similar story. But once it went back into print, I could not pass up the opportunity to pick it up. So this is from Rob Schrab, and these are independent black and white comics from the 90s. And you can see that they're heavily stylized, this kinetic, crazy adventures of these crazy looking characters. Scud is like, he's a disposable assassin. He's like a robotic appliance, basically, that becomes an assassin. So just fun craziness. I've never read this before, though, so I'm excited to jump in. But great black and white art. And I just love, like, it looks like a small press, like, zine almost. Hey, he did the action figure cover before anybody else. Look at that. Those things are, like, super popular now. And he did it. This looks like a zine almost, like, or a sketchbook at times. You get, like, the auteurness of the cartoonist involved. He did all the lettering, all the artwork, all the storytelling. And you get a peek inside his brain as a cartoonist. So that's what I love about the small press. This package came from fellow Cupcake Ben. So this, I couldn't get to Free Comic Book Day. I can't get this open. And so I couldn't get the Red Room. Red Room's like my favorite comic on the stands right now by Ed Piskor. So Ben helped me out and got me a copy. So this is Red Room, Free Comic Book Day. And it's got a wraparound cover. Red Room's not for the faint of heart. It's a splatterpunk gore, rated M for mature, outlaw comics, also by Fantagraphics. So I don't want to flip through here too much, but it is like I said, a splatterpunk gore fest. Basically, look at that line art though. That's not too gory. Basically, the conceit is there's these secret chat rooms, like think of like OnlyFans, but not porn. Instead, it's actually just brutality and murder, where people will pay Bitcoin to see these grotesque murders. But this is a Free Comic Book Day, and it has like 4 stories in it, all brand new stories. None of these stories are included in the, I think there's been 3 issues of Red Room released so far. Ed Piskor, though, is one half of the cartoonist kayfabe fame, so go check out his YouTube channel. It's my favorite YouTube channel out there. But he also did X-Men Grand Design and WYSIWYG and Hip Hop Family Tree. This is another book that I asked Ben to find for me. This is a variant cover, but it's the Heroes Reborn issue 4. And the reason why I wanted this, because one of my favorite artists going today, James Stocco, did the interior art. And I will buy anything that James Stocco is involved in. That's amazing. It looks like something Jack Kirby would come up with, or even Brendan McCarthy did something that was similar to that too in a comic. I wonder if that's an influence there. But Ben told me, I know Ben really loved the Heroes Reborn, right? Yeah. I always get Heroes Reborn and Heroes Return mixed up. He loved the story of all these issues, and when I found out Stocco was on one of them, I passed on it in my LCS, and then when I went back to it, it was gone, and Ben hunted it down for me from Midtown Comics for like $1. So, yeah, I told him I didn't care what cover I got, I just wanted the interior art. And then Ben, nice enough, also threw in some extra comics. Sue and Tai Chan. I've heard of this comic. I love cats. I don't know if Ben knows that, and that's why he threw this in, or if it, but just adorable cats. And I've heard of this comic book. I need to check that out and see if I want to buy more. He also threw in an issue of Morbius, which looks a lot of fun. Ben always talks about how he has like a million long boxes, so I'm assuming he just threw in a bunch of stuff. But this one he knew I was probably going to be interested in. So Ben, thank you so much for this. This is the censored Howard Cruz. This was an old Free Comic Book Day release, and it's a bunch of Howard Cruz material. I don't know if it's original or not for this release, or if it's old stuff, but I love Howard Cruz, and he knows I love this old stuff, old school stuff. So I'm assuming Ben knew I liked that one. And he gave me an issue of Punisher Warzone. So thanks, Ben. You threw in, it's always so nice when people throw in extra comics and stuff. So I appreciate that so much. These are a bunch of comics I got from a guy on the one of the cartoonist kayfabe Facebook groups. And he had this whole stack of comics. This one I want to check out. High Shining Brass, True Story of American Spy in Vietnam. I love war comics, and the artwork in here looks amazing. Never even heard of this. This is issue 3. I'm going to hunt down the rest. The reason I wanted this, though, and it was so kind of him, I wish I would have had his name. That's bad on me. But the reason I wanted this is because I wanted this issue. There's this 2-issue series by Moebius, I think you'd say his name, and Stan Lee of the Silver Surfer. And there's only 2 issues, and I want to collect both of them. And he put this up there and said, "Who wants this? I have a bunch of extras for free." I was like, "Oh man, I want that. I love Moebius." But also, I want to collect these 2 issues because I missed out on the big oversized hardcover. If anybody has a lead on that hardcover, let me know. This is the Mighty Marvel Masterworks X-Men Volume 1. So I've been collecting these. These are digest sized, like, let me find. Oh, here's it. Okay. So here's a standard comic book issue, and you can see it's smaller, trim sized. These are like aimed towards kids. These digest format, I think it's derived from like manga and how popular that is. Of course, over the course of the North America right now. So I think Marvel's trying to tap into that, and it's genius. But so they're releasing these Mighty Marvel Masterworks. This is the 3rd one, yes, because they did Spider-Man and they did Fantastic Four, and that's now X-Men, and then the Avengers one comes out next week. But these are collecting. They each collect about the first 10 issues of these stories, and they're just the quality of these books is great. The paper stock is really thick, and the print quality is amazing. You really don't lose a lot with it being printed on the glossy paper. But these are for my son. Him and I have been reading these together. We read the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, and he loved them. And this is a lot of Jack Kirby art. I've not actually read a lot of those. I mean, I remember reading them way back in the day, a few of the issues, and they're not the best for Silver Age Marvel, but what have you. So I've got 2 more books here. I know I've been going on for quite a bit, but this is Crisis Zone by Simon Hanselman. And this is by Fantagraphics. And this is the Meg, Mog, and Owl comics from Simon Hanselman. Great cartoonist. I highly suggest following him on Instagram. And that's where all these comics were printed originally. So Simon Hanselman, he has these comics he does of Meg. Where's Mog? Oh, Mog and Owl. And there's Werewolf Jones. And there's Booger. Of these characters, and it's these weird comics. These are probably some of the weirdest comics I read. But when you have these weird characters, these weird situations, but when you break it down, they're really just slice of life, almost dealing with like mental health issues and craziness. If you're a fan of like Adult Swim cartoons or like a BoJack Horseman or something like that, I highly recommend these comics because they kind of fill in that same vein. I'm gonna try to be careful to flip through here quickly, just show you some of the art, because there is a lot of, I don't know, not safe for work content, I guess, just to give you a feel for the cartooning happening here. But the conceit was that Simon Hanselman was releasing daily comics through Instagram last year during the pandemic. And so he's had all these characters over the course of his career, those great end papers, that he's like kind of worked with. Here's all his books, right here. There's Simon, and then here's all his books that he's released so far for the Meg, Mug, and Owl series. And so he's had all these characters going through the ringer, just like really developing them over the course of all these books. This is, he says, a standalone kind of outside the universe book, and it was kind of bringing those characters through the pandemic in real time. It's like every day when the news was changing, the comics were changing, the characters were dealing with it. Really a fascinating experience. People were saying it was one of the best comics that came out last year, so now we have it collected. And then finally, the last book I'm going to show today doesn't even show up on the screen in frame totally. Hellboy Volume 1 by Mike Mignola. This is the library edition. I've avoided these for a long time. I don't know why. I think it's because some of them are out of print. And they're supposed to be evergreen. You can already see right here. It's got this felt hardcover, which is really beautiful. But it's going to be catching all kinds of stuff all over it, including cat hair, which I have cats, so that's going to be fun. But I've avoided these for a long time. I decided to finally bite down and get one and see if I want more. And unfortunately, I think the answer, unfortunately or fortunately, the answer is yes, because this is a gorgeous book. I love Mike Mignola's art. I have read a lot of Hellboy comics back in the day. Never chronologically or like a big read through like I will be with these. But Mike Mignola's art is so stylized and it's amazing. I will read anything he does. I will often say I prefer cartoony or unrealistic art styles in my comics as opposed to hyper realistic. Like I'd much rather read this than like an Alex Ross comic book. And that's not to say Alex Ross is not super talented. He's magnificent, he's brilliant, he's a genius when it comes to the art form. I just prefer a little bit more cartoony art. And the fact that Hellboy and Mike Mignola, through Hellboy, has created this comic that has like, there's a lot of Jack Kirby influence in his art, which is amazing when you think about it. It's this dark, harrowing horror comics. Like this Kirby Crackle right there, that's Jack Kirby. And even like his figure drawing sometimes is very Kirby-like. But then also these horror comics that involve a lot of old folk tales and H.P. Lovecraft, that's right out of Jack Kirby. Influence, like, it's just amazing. So I finally broke down and bought one. These are so cheap. You can get them for like $28 on in-stock trades, which is incredible for this oversized book. Like, I'll show you the trim size again, a little comparison. Where's my Silver Surfer? Oh, okay. There's Silver Surfer, just a little trim size comparison. So the bottom of the frame is the bottom of the book here. And the top of the frame, you can't even get the book in there. So it's like a much bigger than a standard comic book size. And they're beautifully reproduced. I do believe that they're published in print order in these Hellboy library editions, and the small paperback omnibuses are released in chronological order by story. So they are ordered differently by which edition you buy. But yeah, so I'll be going down the Hellboy path now, trying to hunt down all these. So yeah, so that's my my haul for the day, or for the month, I guess, the month of August. I appreciate you tuning in. Please, like I said, comment down below if you have any questions about any comics. If you want me to highlight any of these comics, I will. I probably will either on this channel or my own channel, which is Taylor Talks Comics. Search for that on YouTube. Taylor Talks Comics. I also do videos over there. It's my own solo channel. And if you want to check that out, but please like and comment down below. Subscribe to the Cupcake channel, and you'll see more content in the future. Thanks.